In 1937, the Walt Disney animated classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs released, the first ever project Walt Disney and his team of animators created for the company. This film stars Adriana Caselotti, Harry Stockwell, and Lucille La Verne. This, of course, is a all-time classic about how Snow White, exiled from her home by her evil stepmother, is rescued by seven dwarf miners and is welcomed into their household. So we're going to talk about this movie and if you, as a Christian, should watch it right now. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm your host Tim and we exist to help Christians live in the world, not of the world, by utilizing our convictions in the movies and shows we watch. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is rated G for general audiences. So I'm going to take a look at any convictions you might have in watching this movie, give you any theological themes that might be present, and wrap it up with a personal review from yours truly. Without further ado, let's head over to the Christian Conviction Meter. And if you don't know what the Christian Conviction Meter is, it is a series of 5 categories that we split based on some of the more popular convictions you may have that may prevent you from watching a film. This is to help you grow in your relationship with Jesus, not to hinder or distract you from it. That is our ultimate goal. So without further ado, let's dive in. Starting off with violence and gore, there is no gore in any sense of this film. It is rated G. It is technically a children's film. So there is no gore in this film, and there really isn't much violence in the sense of like what you would say from a PG or PG-13 film. What there is at one point, like the huntsman, he like threatens to unalive Snow White and ultimately fails. He's like, I don't want to do this. And so there is that sequence. But other than that, the most kind of like action that's contained within this film is just some like comical slapstick from the Seven Dwarfs. And of course, a sequence later on in the film that is, more of a intense kind of final sequence where the evil queen tries to take out all the seven dwarves with a boulder and ultimately fails. I'm going to give this a 1 out of 5 just to be on the safe bet. This is a cartoon, this is animation, so we do have to keep that in mind. Luckily for us, the next 3 categories, which is lust, substances, and profanity, there is none contained in this film. It is a fat 0 out of 5 for all of them. There is nothing to worry about with those 3 categories. Lastly, let's move on to intense sequencing and horror images. Like I'd like to say, unless it is a horror film, there is no horror in this movie, but there is a little more kind of frightening images, especially for your younger viewers. The forest comes alive in a kind of spooky way. There also might be some younger viewers who might be frightened by the evil queen as well as her transformation into the old hag. There is potions and spells being used within the film, and they might also be a little frightened by the poisonous concoction that the evil queen makes to poison Snow White. Of course, there is a moment within the film where, I'm assuming everyone's seen it, so I don't have to worry about spoilers for that, where Snow White does take a bite of the apple and she does fall. You don't see her actually fall other than her hand fall to the ground with the apple, so there is that. But again, in terms of its intensity, it's more spooky rather than intense. I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 5 as well, just to be on the safe side, specifically for younger audiences. And when I say that, it's more for your young kids, so anywhere from 5 to younger, anything like that. It might be a little spooky for them. Something to keep in mind, but ultimately, if you're a parent, it's your judgment call. With that being said, it's a 2 out of 25 on the conviction meter, which means this is a okay film for most people to watch. It is rated G for a reason, so general audiences can enjoy this film. There really isn't anything that impedes or distracts you or will take you away from your relationship with Jesus. Nothing here that compromises that, which is a plus. Moving on to theological themes, and this one in particular, it really has just kind of one moment within the film, which is Snow White does take time to pray. She prays for the Seven Dwarfs, she prays for her dreams to come true, and then she adds in a little bit later for a Grumpy to like her. And so there is that moment, but other than that, there really isn't anything here. This is a fairy tale story, so most of the time you're not going to have any Christian themes, so to speak. With that being said, let's head over and take some time to talk about the movie in a personal review. This movie is a all-time classic. It is regarded and widely known by a lot of people, and this film is very influential. In fact, I'd argue it's one of the most, if not the most, influential animated film of all time. There's so much that this film kind of helps to present and do. The songs are fun and catchy. The animation here is really solid, especially for a film nearing its 90th anniversary now. And overall, it's a really enjoyable film. The characters are wonderful. The story is fairly basic, but that just helps general audiences to enjoy the film. It's charming, it's sweet, it's a classic fairy tale with a happily ever after, unlike the books, which are a little bit darker and have more of a moral to the story to them. But overall, this is, like I said, a all-time classic, both in terms of animation as well as just film. It is a super impactful, super pivotal film, not just for Disney, but for films in general. I'm going to give this an 8.3 out of 10. So with that in mind, it's a 2 out of 25 on the conviction meter, a 8.3 out of 10 on personal review. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's chat all things Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs down in the comments below. We did this in preparation for the upcoming live action remake, Snow White, which we'll see how that goes. It doesn't look as good as this original film. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it, and subscribe, all that good stuff. It just sends us out into the algorithm, allows us to reach more Christians, to help them use their convictions in the movies and shows they watch so they can follow Jesus better. And that being said, before we go, there's a few videos over here that you can check out, some different reviews available on the channel that you might be interested in watching. And I'll see you all in the next one.